Welcome to Dogsthorpe Infant School Launchpad.
This is your captain speaking. We've been cleared for departure.
Okay, Eddie, start the countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
This podcast is brought to you by Eddie Edster, the Dogsthorpe Infant School Wellbeing Dog.
Welcome back to Eddie's Launchpads. It's the Dogsthorpe Infant School podcast for parents, teachers and schools. Wherever you're listening in the world, welcome. We've got another guest for you today. Nadia Hewstone is a former head teacher who now works full-time as a professional coach. Teaching has never been more tougher than it is now. Whether it's about budget restraints, time management, pressures on budgets, people not being able to sleep at nights, bad behaviour, whatever it is, the pressures have never been greater. And that's why I thought we'd get Nadia onto the show. Welcome to the show, Nadia.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me, Dave.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you offer all the senior leaders who are listening today.
Former head teacher, like you said, I taught for 25 years before setting up my own business. I predominantly taught in London, North London, moved to the Suffolk coast as part of a government scheme to get London leaders into failing coastal schools, and have stayed there now for nearly 15 years because there's a lot of work to do outside of London. It opened my eyes to how hard it is for schools up and down the country, and I realised at that point that London was a bit of a bubble, and that I'd been quite privileged in many ways. Hope to not offend any London teachers with that, but I will expand on that shortly. Since leaving Headship, I have set up a coaching business, and I support head teachers across the country and in Europe now. And we also offer coaching programs for teachers, me and my team. Obviously, I had worked my way up in teaching through assistant headship, Senko, deputy head, head teacher, and really started to understand as a head in a particularly challenging school in Suffolk, that the key to enabling schools to succeed was to support and develop senior leaders. So that is the core mission of Destino Coaching, really, is to empower and skill up senior leaders to be able to cope with the dynamic challenges of leading schools. So we offer group programs, we offer group coaching, and we also offer one-to-one executive coaching for senior leaders. And this is really about providing leaders with space to think broadly about the challenges, to feel less alone in the challenges, and to give people who are tackling challenges that are beyond what they think is possible, give them space to look at what they actually can do, where their sphere of influence is. And often the problem in schools, and particularly at the moment, and like you say, it's intensifying, is that the job seems impossible when you think about it, and that can be very overwhelming. And in order to make it possible, school leaders need to be given permission to find their own solutions. And that is what we aim to do, really. So I said we empower, but actually that's a falsity, because we help leaders to empower themselves, I guess, and to feel confident about navigating the role.
That's the best coaching, isn't it? The ones where we end up helping ourselves, because that's the best way forward, really, without breaking confidences. And bearing in mind, I know you have lots of people who come to you for help, but without breaking confidences, what's the national picture like? It's very easy when you're working at the coalface in your school, wherever your school may be. Hello, if you're listening, wherever your school may be, you're down with it locally. You're dealing with the stuff that's coming over your desk, it's easy to miss the national picture. What is it as bad nationally as it is for some of our schools now?
I'm really pleased that you asked this question, because one of the biggest challenges for head teachers is the feeling of isolation. And also we have, particularly in the UK, a well-established, what I call hero culture. And this idea of service has almost been weaponized against us culturally as leaders in schools, because what we feel is if we're not serving effectively, we're failing. And actually, if head teachers don't have an opportunity to explore this more broadly, or to connect with other head teachers from other parts of the country, they begin to think and tell themselves that they're not good enough. And actually, to anybody who's leading a school or in a leadership position in a school who might be listening today, Dave, I'd really like to say, every client that ever sits in front of me tells me they think they're failing. That's where we start. And actually, what that reflects is a system that is bending and breaking. And, it's not all doom and gloom, but it's not easy. No. And unfortunately, many people come to us when they're in a really bad place, emotionally, professionally, whatever it might be that defines burnout for them. They're often there. And that is widespread. And we're currently working with over 100 head teachers one-to-one. We've got over 300 head teachers in our programs at the moment. And as you know, readership of my book is quite broad. Mm-hmm. And so our data is quite significantly telling us that it's a profession in crisis. Mm.
And you're right. Sometimes it is weaponized to say, well, that's what you do because you're
up for it.
Yeah. And that in itself can do more damage than anything. And the other observation that I'd like to share with you, Nadia, is that we've had over 150 shows and lots of guests, not just one guest per show. We've had lots of guests, hundreds of guests. And I would say 95 to 97% of the guests that we have on are ex-teachers.
Wow.
Now that, whether that's because they are selling something, they've come up with a product or a piece of software, or they have written some books, they are children's authors. And 9 times out of 10, people say to me, well, of course, I was a teacher, which suggests to me, as someone who is not a teacher, that we are getting through a lot of people very, very quickly. We are burning out. So they're joining the system and they're falling off at the other end. And wouldn't it be lovely if we could hang on to all of our excellent teachers rather than just break them?
Absolutely. And we are. 43,000 teachers left the profession last year. So you're absolutely right. It's not an easy job. However, my work and my experience of leading schools, and I was in schools for 25 years, is that if you can get behind the head and the head can get a strategy that works, you hold on to teachers. And that's essentially what drives us in my team, is that let's enable and support the head teachers so that they can hold on to their teachers, and that will grow and hold on to the profession. And anybody who's listening who's been led by what they might deem as a weak head teacher or a scatty head teacher or a broken head teacher will know how chaotic that is and how difficult that is at classroom level. And then in contrast, any teacher who might be listening who's had a really, really inspiring head teacher with a clear strategy will say, the hours don't matter because what I'm doing matters and I feel supported. So, teaching attracts great people, and we need to hold on to them by giving them clarity, direction and support. And you can't do that as a head teacher if you're not in a good place yourself. There's that age-old metaphor about the oxygen mask, isn't there, and you not being able to pour from an empty cup. And that is where I believe coaching comes in.
Now, you mentioned your book. Mrs. Waters has got a copy. In fact, I passed it on my way to record this podcast, and I looked at it and I thought, I know the lady who wrote that. Could you say a little bit, for those people who've not come across it, who may benefit from reading it, could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's a book written for head teachers, but I've been told by many senior leaders who aren't head teachers that they found it useful too. It's called The Unhappy Headteacher, but if you look at the front cover, the is rubbed out. So the idea is that actually, in order to be successful, we need to pursue happiness in work. And what I share in the book is what I've come to understand is the key tools for pursuing fulfillment and happiness in the role. And a lot of that, some of that is like really like strategy. Some of it is about mindset, and some of it is about relationships. So I talk in the book a lot about, you know, knowing your direction, knowing what your values are, but also connecting with the right people in the right way, and learning some tools that will help you navigate the role. But also, we're always pursuing joy in your work. And when we lose joy in our work, the grind gets us down. And so I promote that and believe that that's a central leadership skill, particularly in leading schools, is looking after A, your health, and B, your happiness.
I honestly don't know how Mrs. Walters does it. I really don't. I mean, every day she faces all sorts of challenges and issues, and whether that's about budgetary issues or whether it's staffing issues or whatever. But she always goes out walking on cloud nine, and I don't know what inspires her to do that, but I guess it's about inspiring the people under you, because if you're feeling down, then it's going to rub off. And when you were talking, Nadia, what really struck me was that we often say, don't we, as children, even myself, I think about my teachers when I was young and how much they influenced me. I didn't at the time, but it influenced me, and now I enjoy books and reading and learning new things and learning about history because a teacher had a passion for that.
Yeah.
And what it sounds like you're saying is, if you can sort out the senior leaders so that they stay positive and they stay focused and they can deal with all
weather.
It sets the ship. It sets the helm of the ship.
Yeah, and that's not easy, Dave. You know, actually, when people come to me and say, "I don't know whether I can continue," I know that that's rational. Some people will choose not to continue in senior leadership in schools. You live with a head teacher, you know why, and I have no doubt that Becky will talk to you about things that actually shock you, but you're probably the only person she can tell in confidence. So it's an incredibly lonely role because your teachers have no idea what's going on and no idea why you're responding in the way you do. But if we can give that a forum for support while enabling them to go and be outward facing with their team, schools still thrive even in the current climate.
Becky comes home having faced all sorts of issues, whether that's a child that's caused problems or whether that's something has happened in school. She comes home and I find myself saying to her, because I think the world of her and I don't want her to hurt, I say to her, how much longer can you do this?
Mm-hmm. And
each time she goes back out the next morning and repeats. You know, and to all you head teachers who are listening out there, all you deputy heads, all you senior leaders, thank you for all you do. Is there anything in particular that you want to shine a light on before we talk about the how people can get hold of your resources?
I mean, what I'd really like to talk about, Dave, is well-being, and this is a term that's bandied around a lot in schools. You know, head teachers are now under the Ofsted framework responsible for everybody's well-being, and so a lot of my work is around what is well-being, what is looking after yourself, and I have recently started studying to become a health coach because it is so necessary in my work now. And if anybody who's listening who works in schools, I would really like to urge you to start seeing looking after your well-being as part of your professional responsibility rather than an indulgence, because when we work in a service like we do in schools, we often self comes last. And why this looks very honorable from the outside and heroic and all of those things. It is one of the reasons why people burn out. It's not just the broken system, it's the fact that we are not supporting head teachers, teachers, support staff to prioritize their well-being. So I would really urge everyone to have a plan around what makes them happy, what makes them they know makes them more healthy, and what makes them comfortable, and in integrating more of those things into their life. I'm really keen to support more teachers around their nutrition, their plan around exercise if they have one, which doesn't need to be intense at all. This isn't about body beautiful, it's about maintaining good health. And we all get, that's another shame part of our culture, is that we all need to look beautiful. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about regular movement, gentle movement, and clear approach to nutrition that is not based on sugar, caffeine, and alcohol. Nurses would never do that. When nurses can't eat, they have a protein shake. When teachers can't eat, they eat a packet of biscuits. This is where we're failing. I really believe it comes back to nutrition a lot. So I'd really like to encourage people to read more about quick and easy ways of maintaining healthy nutrition, and there are lots and lots of tips that I can offer if people want to get in touch. But also sleep, because our job is so all-encompassing. So many teachers and school leaders come to us telling us their sleep is awful. The long-term effects of that on our health is catastrophic. And nobody is going to give you a gold star in heaven for not having slept for 20 years because you're a teacher, or 30 or 40, some people. So I really want to encourage anybody working in a school to really look into how to optimizing the quality of their sleep so that they can recover and restore, because we work in a high stress, dynamic environment, and we need to recover and nourish ourselves at the end of each day. So I guess my message here is, look after your health because nobody else will. And that's for everybody. That's for you as well, Dave. It's got to come from us, all of us, hasn't it? I was awful for this as a teacher and a head teacher, and way into my 40s, I was sailing through, and then I hit a wall. I developed all sorts of autoimmune conditions. I hurt my spine. I became alcohol dependent, and I had to spend a lot of time, money, and effort unraveling all of that. You don't have to do that. And actually, you will sustain yourself, your family, and your career much better if you have a plan around that and you're proactive about it. So that's my rant at your listeners, Dave. And that's the thing I really would say is the most important tool for teachers is health and well-being.
Where can they go to get in touch with you and to buy your book?
So my book's available on Amazon. It's called The Unhappy Headteacher. It's a bestseller at the moment in governance, leadership, and most gifted in teaching. So it's quite easy to find if you pop it into Amazon. It's also available through a link on my website, which is destinocoaching.co.uk. I'm on all socials. So I'm on Instagram as Destino Coaching, Facebook as Destino Coaching, and also on LinkedIn as Nadia Hewstone. So you can follow me and pick up tips. We run programs regularly. We're running a retreat in October for head teachers. I make no apology for encouraging head teachers to take a day out of school and come and do some restorative work with me and my team, and then spend the weekend with us looking at strategy, nourishment, well-being, and integrating that into their work. If you're a main scale teacher or a senior teacher and you're interested in how we support teachers, we do lots of support around coaching around the profession. So instructional coaching, group coaching, and flipping what professional development looks like so that it's useful to teachers. I think we've gone too long talking at teachers in the staff room after school when they're all tired, and I've got lots of ideas and ways of supporting schools with making teacher development much more meaningful. But we'd love to hear from you at Destino. We run freebies all the time. So we're running a planning challenge coming up in September. We run, my husband, who is the operations lead for the business, is an experienced finance and operations leader in multi-academy trusts, and he runs support workshops on restructure, financial management of schools, HR issues. So he's useful to follow as well. Michael Hewstone, his name is. But yeah, please get in touch if we can support you in, free or not free. There's lots of ways you can get involved. I have a free Facebook group that has daily support from me and my coaching team, and it's called Headteacher SOS. So if you want to get a flavour of me and how I work, I go live in there and I post in there, and my team are all in there supporting you. If you're a head teacher, that might be a good place to start.
Well, there we are, folks. There's Nadia's offer to you. Don't worry if you missed any of those details. Just click on the podcast and the text will open up, and you're just one click away from Nadia and all these wonderful resources and what her husband offers. That's all there. Let's not suffer anymore. Let's get in front of the people who can help us and bind our wounds so that we can help the children who desperately need us now.
You have been listening to the Dogsthorpe Infant School podcast. Join Captain Dave and his co-pilot Eddie Edster, the well-being dog, on another launchpad soon. Until then, dream, believe, and shine. Dogsthorpe Infant School is part of Hampton Academies Trust.